Well, if it isn't one thing, it's another, and of course, both of them have to happen in less than 2 weeks. You saw me snap the drive shaft again. Cool, got a new drive shaft from Ishin? Great. Snap third gear. I'm not gonna waste you guys' time. Third gear exists no more. We've got 2 down transmissions. We've got less than 18 hours to get this car completely disassembled. That's right, I'm not a car salesman. I'm telling you right now, everything from the engine back has to go. It's like a car clearance bonanza. But in my case, it's absolutely pure stress. So what you're about to watch is one of the most technical, most involved unbuilds, removing from front to back, that we've ever done on this channel and in this garage. So we've got a clean area. You're about to watch the craziest disassembly ever. So you know how I just said I'm gonna do just the negative terminal, but we don't half-ass things here in the Dahm garage. There. With that done, that would not be possible otherwise. Negative lead first, survival of the fittest. Battery is disconnected, we can go about the rest of our day. So the first thing that is most important is jacks. Again, this is not supposed to be a safety video. I'm just literally not interested in dying this soon to beating Rob for his ass. Why these big ones? We need to lift this whole car up high enough easily to drop the whole transmission, the whole rear suspension, the whole rear sub-assembly, to get it out from under the car and slide it out. If you put the whole car down too short, the transmission drops and then it hits everything underneath the car. So we need to get it up about 15, 17 inches. Aside from having me on my knees, this is one of the dream situations for many people, is working on an RX-7. And in this case, the one thing I'm gonna do is use the pinch welds to lift the car. Whatever, if you have a problem with it, guess what? This is my car. I know my hands there and I'm still hurting it. So here we are, obviously under the car. I'm finally doing work, but you'll see all the things up here, very fresh. The reason why these have been out many times in the last 2 weeks. Bolts up here are gonna be very easy to remove. They've been on less than a week. Obviously I'm not wearing eye protection. I'm taking my chances at the moment. I'm not wrenching. Up here we've got the power plant frame that we're gonna be removing, PPF for short, which hides the drive shaft that Ishin let me borrow. That's going back to him. We've got the transmission over here, and then all the accoutrements, the fancy word there, all the accoutrements of the transmission. So the starter down here, which is the reason why we unplug the battery first. You take a wrench or something to that, you'll see some fireworks. So we've got to disconnect the clutch, take off the starter, take off the slave cylinder, which is above the starter, which is for your clutch. Everything up there comes down. So the important part is the stuff that's directly above the camera. Okay, so this side is the more interesting side. This is the side that most people do not venture into, the rear part of the car. So first of all, you can see that this thing is meant to party. This is a diff brace, a cradle, a girdle, a diaper, whatever you want to call it. This is bolted onto the power plant frame to the actual bolts on the diff, which prevent that pumpkin shaped thing from splitting open. That's a common problem on higher horsepower RX-7s. These are the rear axles. This is where the power comes from the diff to the wheels. Those also are going. But more importantly, this entire piece, all the way up to here, this entire rear subframe, rear assembly, is gonna be no more. I'm definitely gonna have to take off the exhaust to make everything else come out nice and neat. So the very first step I'm gonna do to prevent all of the transmission fluid from getting into my hair is empty it from the transmission. Because if you start leaning the transmission backwards as you're taking it out, it actually comes out of the output shaft. So nice and fun little adventure there. I'm excited to see what sort of metal is on the magnet on the end of this, because this was completely clean before I trashed this. Look at that. Look at how clean the fluid is, and look at how much metal is on. That's actually really awesome. Shouldn't have that in your transmission fluid. Use this before you start working. Let the PB Blast, this is penetrating type of oil. It's a very weird feeling when it gets on your fingers. But what it does is it gets inside of the grooves and of course the threads of stuck bolts. Give it some time to work and it will break those stuck bolts free. Hiya, Jarrett. Do you want a balloon? it came to my attention by myself solely, and Jarrett didn't help at all, that the cradle the cradle had to come off. So I also unloosened all of these bolts myself.
Oh.
So this could pop right off. So now we've got the power plant frame, which is not going to come down on me. Just kidding, it is. That's how you break your jaw. What you see here is the 4 bolts for the drive shaft. The drive shaft's not going to move anytime soon because I have the car still in gear. Not third gear. Third gear doesn't exist anymore, but you can see that this would rotate if the car wasn't in gear. So we're going to have to loosen the ones we've got, put the car into neutral, and then rotate it 180 degrees, and then pull the rest. I used to think that this is where you filled the transmission from, which is incorrect. Okay, and then here comes the boom. There. I know, every time I was talking, it worked. So what I did, for those of you wondering, is I was actually holding with my index finger. I put my finger into the slave cylinder area and was holding the whole throwout bearing assembly back into the clutch because it wobbles back and forth. So that way it wasn't putting pressure on this ring. So then I would pop the ring out and everything's let go. So now we can do the top 2 bolts on the transmission and the whole assembly is going to come down. So right now we're using the jack as just like a safety measure. Like it's not holding it up yet. Okay, so we've got the clutch removed. We've got all the bolts around the outside of the thing removed. We've got the sensors removed. We've got the starter removed. We've got the slave cylinder. So really, everything's got a little bit of pressure down because of gravity. So we're gonna pull it back up and back. Look at that. She's ready for it. Oh, huh. Boom. That simple. Your first thing you always want to do, what you just saw me do, is clear the pilot bearing, so pull it straight back out. If you pull it at any angle, you can bend and break things. So do not do that. You always want to pull straight out. This is why these larger jack stands make such a sense. Because then you get that cool transmission look. Okay, so there we are. We're gonna crack this open because we need vindication as to what happened halfway down the drag strip.
I know what you need.
What's that, pal?
You need a drill that does that for you.
Yeah, true. Are you ready to see what 840 horsepower does to third gear at 4,000, no, it'd be at like 6,000 RPM? Fourth gear has a little bit of third gear, depending on the gear ratios right here. You can just hear them crunching on all the other gears. Every gear's got so much trash on them. Chunks of it just gone. Oh, that section's okay. And then, nope. So if you get just one pizza, the shipping cost is fixed to that one pizza, okay? So I'm thinking, instead of, we're gonna mitigate the delivery fee amongst multiple pizzas, so each pizza, cost per pizza drops dramatically, multiples. So we need to get at least 2 pizzas.
This guy just...
This is legitimate. That makes sense to me in my head. Run the video. Okay, it's about to get naughty in here.
My left arm's going numb.
Oh, I feel bad for you. So there's parts of it. They're getting worn. Yeah, this is on the end of its life. We are about to travel into the unknown. This is the whole rear assembly and it's going bye-bye. The thing is that while I don't know what's about to happen, I do know a couple things. One is that we're gonna have to drop the shocks because they're attached to the shock towers and the whole assembly needs to come down. 2, we need to work on the brakes. If you don't remove the brakes from this and you pull this, there goes your metal lines. 3, we've got about 6 bolts or so to try and remove the whole rear piece all at once. They're the ones that attach to the body, the unibody kind of chassis of the car. So you guys are gonna follow on this adventure with me. Ooh, not a happy camper. So we found that one of the strut towers have a bolt that's completely stripped, so we're screwed quickly on getting that top part done. So we're gonna improvise a little bit. We're actually gonna take the bottom part of the strut or shock really out because we're also gonna have to take off the sway bar. So neither of those are gonna come with us on this little adventure. So we're gonna take both of these off and then get ready to drop the whole subframe. Okay, and then, boop. There. So you see how bad this bolt is? I have not replaced the bushings on this side, so all of these connections are all worn. So this is gonna take some more PP blaster. Look at that, absorb, penetrate.
What's great about the way you set up that light is I can't see anything.
This is how you break tools. Something is gonna give. I don't think it's the car. See, the smart part of me says, leave it, Rob. Let the penetrating oils work its magic. The other part of me is saying, we need to get this done tonight. So these are the first two that we're gonna have to try to take off. I really have no idea what sort of pressure these have been under. Ooh, I think the PB blaster shit worked really well. Wow. Like I said, I'm so surprised that all of this is handling this as well. See how there's no pressure? This is also a Jarrett bolt, it's whining. Oh.
Oh.
Did you capture that on camera?
Yeah.
Oh. I just got an NFL level concussion though.
Jesus.
Ow. Hey dude, Jarrett, I just got knocked senseless. You know that was cool as hell.
This looks weird.
Isn't it cool? Thankfully we're replacing the dust shields on these. That is it. That is the rear subframe. So you get the rear suspension, the upper A-arms, lower A-arms, toe links, supporting braces, you get everything. It all bolts with 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts. That's it. 8 bolts takes all of this. One of the problems we had is this is the hard brake line for both the rear wheels for the brakes. That was really seized down there. There we go. That is one night. That's one night of getting all of that out. The whole drivetrain from the engine back is out. I'm headed to Oklahoma City tonight to get something really special for the race.